Well, that is right. You hear the music. Chicago has won the Cup Season 3 of LGHL PSN. In a hell of a series, I might add. Crazy stuff, but Chicago put out a solid Game 7 lineup, to say the least, and got it done. But before we get on to talking about the Cup, we have Goose Chuck back this week, Maranaconda as usual, and we have some special guests coming on the show throughout the night. So what's going on with you guys? Goose, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, other than the fact that I got a nice cold right now. So, besides that, doing pretty well. Getting ready for season 4.
Awesome. Maranaconda, what's up?
Doing well, man. Kind of doing the same thing as Goose, getting things together here to get ready to go. But this is a show where we wrap up season 3 and talk about the Stanley Cup champions, the Chicago Blackhawks, and what a show they put on in the Stanley Cup Finals. And hats off to Florida too. They gave them everything they could handle. They took them to 7 games, and what more could you ask for out of a Stanley Cup Final than for it to go the distance and go 7 games? But Chicago just proved to be too deep, too strong, and wanted it too much. So in the end, Chicago comes out with the cup, and my hat's off to them. That's an outstanding job by the entire team. A lot of people were pulling against Chicago across the site and across the league, and they went out and just basically continued to prove everybody wrong all season long and get it done when the chips were down.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is playing on the ice, and what can you say? They've been outstanding all season. They won the President's Trophy and did indeed prove that that's not a curse. It was an outstanding series. Hats off to Florida, but Chicago got it done when it counted. And, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, Viper, he played outstanding in that final game. Florida had some outstanding opportunities, especially in the third period, late in the second period, and Viper stood tall, almost got the shutout, gave up a goal late in the third period, but it was an outstanding game to watch. Game 7 was kind of cool that series did go 7 games, because as a viewer, that's kind of what I wanted. That's what I was sitting here saying last week. It'd be very entertaining to see them trade punches all series. And, I'm not disappointed with how it turned out either way. The play was great. Players all played very well. And Chicago with the chip on their shoulder, Scoots, built the team with the right magic this time around and got the cup back to Chicago.
He sure did. He kind of continued where he had left off in season 1 and season 2, and slowly building that team up into the mega monster that it is today. And, they basically went out and they proved finally that winning the President's Trophy isn't necessarily a curse. In this case, it was a blessing for them. They went out, they won the regular season. They gained that President's Trophy, and they continued that momentum on through the playoffs, and picked up the ultimate trophy, which is the Stanley Cup. And hats off to them. They killed it, and it's well deserved.
For sure. Goose, did you get a chance to watch any of that series, particularly Game 7?
I didn't get the chance to watch the game 7, but I did watch, I believe it was 3 and 4, the 2 games Florida took. And even though that was relatively one-sided, those 2 games, you got the sense of the real competition these guys had. And, both teams are Florida with that underdog story coming through and getting to the finals. And Chicago themselves, they were favored throughout most of the playoffs and, of course, in the finals, as they've been good this entire time. So it was a great series to watch for what I did watch. But, just you don't even have to watch it to understand how much of a battle it was, seeing the reactions of everybody watching, seeing the reactions of the guys in the games, how hard they played. It was definitely a really, really good matchup for the Stanley Cup Finals.
For sure. Another interesting statistic about the series is that the home team won every single game of the 7 games. Chicago won the first 2, then Florida, and then Chicago, Florida, Chicago to end the series. And kind of interesting because that wasn't really the story of the playoffs, honestly. It wasn't really hosting team winning every game. But in this series, that's exactly what happened. And, from a spectator standpoint, that makes it the most interesting, because if the home team's winning every game, that means you're going the length of the series. So, super interesting to me. It was fun to watch. And Game 7, Chicago, they really, in the offensive zone, they were putting together some nice zone possession on the times that they scored the goal. They were able to kind of withstand the Florida defensive pressure and get a couple of nice goals early that kind of broke the pressure. And, after that, we're able to kind of just settle into their game. And I heard them talking on the stream before the game, we need to get going early, get on the board first, and just play our game. We'll be fine. And that's exactly what they did. And it held true. They won the game 4-1. And, that's kind of what you saw out of Chicago all year. If you allow them to play their game, they're extremely tough, if not impossible to beat. And, they deserve to win that game and the cup. It was a great series. It was a great season. And congratulations to Florida for making it to the finals, and everybody else who was fighting for the cup in the playoffs. It was definitely a fun tournament to watch. And, it could shake out anyway. This year, the first seed wins it, but you never know what's going to happen. Anything else on the Stanley Cup, just generally, we want to get to real quick, or do we want to talk about a couple other things? I know we got the draft coming up on Thursday. We're already into, I think, restricted free agency is actually might be done now as far as signing people. Might be into the next 24-hour period. But a lot of things going on as we're moving into the next season, finishing up this season, and all of it's going to add up to this past week that we just lived.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, just to touch on that Stanley Cup Finals again, that Game 6 was crazy. There was a lot of people watching it. I think I saw over 300 people watching that stream at one point in time. And
just that stream.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy to watch. It was highly entertaining. I don't know what the the virtual reality thing was interesting. I really want to see what that looks like. The thing that Jazz was wearing, I think that was Jazz. But that thing was pretty sweet. I'm just curious what the game looks like in there, man. It's pretty awesome. But it was a highly entertaining series. I thought, Florida did a hell of a job. They came back in the series. They tied it up 3-3 with that big overtime win in Game 6, and they came out, and it just seemed like, I don't know, it was weird. I was watching the Florida feed during that Game 7, and it was just, I don't know if it was because everybody's mics were not shared or anything like that, but I don't know, it just seemed dead in their party. It didn't seem like they were talking, but it could have only been one person, but it just seemed dead to them. To me, it sounded dead. They were just kind of like, you would hear someone shuffle around every now and again, and that was it. And I was like, man, this is a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. How are these guys not like going through the roof right now? But it is what it is. Chicago just came out in that Game 7 and basically put their foot down and said, we're taking this cup home. And there's nothing that Florida can do about it, and that rang true. There was nothing Florida could do about it. They were outmatched the whole game. Chicago kept them to the outside extremely well. And Florida just could not even get a shot on net for the first 2 periods of that game. I think they had 3 shots on net through the first 2 periods, and it just finally just killed their momentum, and they could never really get any momentum going, and just lost that Game 7 pretty handily to Chicago in their Game 7 lineup.
Well, they kind of, what I noticed was Florida was working the puck up their right side through their right D, center, and right winger a lot during the game. And, Chicago's second overall draft pick from this season, PTP, Protection, he was shutting it down. He had a couple of really good plays where he carried the puck all the way up through the ice offensively and had a couple of outstanding chances that he wasn't able to bury. But defensively, there were several plays, per period where Florida had gotten it down into his corner and had really good spacing and got themselves towards the slot, and PTP came right up and knocked the puck off their stick, picking it up, making a great breakout pass, and turning it into an offensive attack. The Chicago defense shut down the Florida offense extremely well. Didn't allow King Clutch to get started. Clutch is one of those guys that he scores a goal, and I think he is the one who scored Florida's goal. But he's one of those guys. If he scores early, expect him to put up 4 or 5 goals in a game, because that's how he plays.
Well, that's Jeff too. Jeff's an outstanding goal scorer.
Oh yeah, yep. And Chicago just shut him down, really. Class Act had an outstanding game on left wing for Chicago. Pindy played really well on right wing, and Piper, of course, at center. Not really many other centers, if any, that you would want on the ice for you in a Game 7. And those 3 forwards played a very good mix of offense and defense, and were able to get it done in, very convincing fashion.
For sure. They definitely went out and dominated. I mean, you got 2 of the better, 2 pretty highly ranked defensive forwards in CC Piper and Pinder, and Class Act's no slouch over there either. So, I mean, not to mention their defensive skill, but also, I mean, they're just straight opportunists. I mean, there were so many times where they baited the defenders of Florida into DDD passes in that game, and they just stepped right in, snagged them, and went down the ice on an odd man rush, if not a breakaway. So they were setting them up nicely. They were baiting them well.
It was like clockwork for a while.
And they were taking advantage of it. Florida was getting in there, and they were possessing the puck. I mean, they had the puck for 9 minutes and 13 seconds in Chicago's zone, but they only generated 8 shots. So, I mean, that right there tells you the story that Chicago just shut it down defensively, kept everything to the outside, kept taking the pucks off their stick. I mean, another stat that stands out to me from that Game 7 is there was a total of 17 faceoffs in the entire game. So the puck was moving the entire game. It was in defensive zones for either team, and it just seemed that Chicago jumped on the loose pucks quicker. They jumped on those setup plays and took pucks away, and capitalized on those turnovers as well. So, they did a hell of a job. They earned that Game 7 victory hands down, and my hat's off to them. They played extremely well.
Yeah, for sure they did. And then, of course, in the AHL, we had the Charlotte Checkers get it done in very convincing fashion, I will say, as far as how their offense played throughout the playoffs. And a team that did they finish dead last in the AHL last season, the Checkers?
Pretty damn close.
They were in the bottom 3. I know they were in the bottom 3. Come back this season with a brand new team, new GM, new AGM, all that stuff, and they find in their first opportunity the right combination to win the Calder Cup. Skilled Python did a great job, and really those games down there were fun too. I checked in on a couple of those, and I know T-Sibs was broadcasting those games with Vibes Digital and a couple of guys down there for the AHL Calder Cup Finals. That was super fun to watch. Sorry we didn't broadcast games this week. I've had family in town and literally haven't been around for anything. So it is something I wanted to do, and we will be trying to broadcast games in Season 4 as much as we possibly can. Thinking maybe trying to do a game of the week every week or every couple of weeks or something like that, and hopefully do some playoff games. Just had some family around, all that kind of stuff. So apologies for that, but great job in the AHL done by that crew and broadcasting those games. That was a lot of fun.
And real quick too about Charlotte taking the cup down there, the Calder Cup. I think the best part about the AHL finals there, we had a 5th seed and a 7th seed going at it. And Charlotte, they may have not put together a number 1 team throughout the entire season, but I think the best part is they put together a team that could make a run in the playoffs, just as St. John's did. Again, they were a 7th seed in the East, and they came barreling through, were able to get to the finals. And they kept most of the games close. I think was Game 3 and 4, both 1-goal games, where Charlotte came out on top. So it was definitely a good battle. I know I checked out about 2 or 3 of those games. and Charlotte definitely deserved that win. But it's cool to see a 5th and a 7th seed there battling out for the Calder Cup.
And
Gotta stop listening to that in the background.
yeah, you got, turn your radio down, God damn it! We'll kick you off of here. Turn your radio down, Skilled. And speaking of the Charlotte
can you guys hear me?
We can, man. We have the
beautiful.
GM of the Charlotte Checkers coming on with us right now, and Skilled Python. What the hell's going on, man? Calder Cup champions, huh?
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, man. It's been great.
Yeah, congratulations. As Goose was just saying, a 5th and a 7th seed going at it for the cup, and you guys are able to get it done. Bringing the team, in the Charlotte Checkers, who were in the bottom 3, if not they might have been the very worst team in season 2. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but definitely at the bottom, all the way up to the top the very next season. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. I believe season 2 Charlotte, no, I don't think they did very well. I haven't looked too deeply at it, but no, I don't think they did very well. But we certainly did this season.
You absolutely did, and you kind of continued the tradition of the Charlotte Checkers there. I mean, in season 1, they had an outstanding team too, and they went to the Western Conference Finals and just came up short to an outstanding Rockford team in season 1. But and then they had the down season in season 2, and then you brought them back this season. And what would you say, your guys' key to success was this season? I know you had some outstanding players. But what would you say your guys' key to success was?
Good question. Several things. I mean, the team in general was just fantastic. I mean, a lot of good trades, timely trades, building up that TC roster to add depth. Yeah, camaraderie in the team. Yeah, everyone, just on the same page. It's so important that the team is on the same page and heading in the right direction. And fortunately, we were all doing that this season. And, I can't say enough about the group, that we had this year. We're really close. And, I'm going to just, say right now, I love these guys. And, it's now that it's over, it's kind of tough to move on from that. But it's, it was a great season, and to pin something right down on success, like just one thing on success would just be, it's actually tough to just put it to one thing.
Absolutely.
It's not a one thing, so many things had to go right, and fortunately everything did. And I got to hand it to the team, every player, defense, offense, goaltending, lights out. Everybody just pulled together this year, and we had a mission right from the get-go. I mean, my theory on this is that we're here. We're not here to have a good season. We're here to win a championship.
Yep.
And I think everybody just really dialed into that, really bought into that, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys kind of had a palindrome of sorts in your run to the cup. You took out Chicago 4-1 in the first round, and then you had 2 series that went 7 games against the Iowa Wild and the Ontario Reign, and then you come up against an Ice Caps team that was red hot in the finals. Now, I mean, they were cooking, and they took down the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, and they were a hot team too. So, you come up against them and you beat them 4-1 in the series. So, how was it? How was the grind in those game 7s against Iowa and Ontario?
What can I say? Palms are sweaty. It's tight games. These are big turning points. In a playoff run. Going 7 games is never an easy task, and but it does build a bit of character. We don't really want to do that, but have the fact that we did do it and we came out on top. Speaks to the character of the team. Then we went again, did it again against the Reign, and that was a tricky one. And again, we came out on top. I mean, believe it or not, in the Reign, we were actually down 3-1 in that series.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was the typical set. Between the Wild, it was kind of back and forth. But that Reign series, we kind of went down 3-1, and we had to really dig deep, and we won that game 5, which was just absolutely key. And then we just tore them to pieces, in games 6 and 7. So, for not to take anything away from the Reign, great team and all that, but
Oh no, yeah.
That was the reality of the situation. So, it built a lot of character. I felt we were really set up well for the final, being that we went through that.
Right.
Not to take anything away from our team, very strong team. But I wasn't, to come out and win the way we did against the Ice Caps, I think was a statement, that, this wasn't an accident. This was, this is a very strong team, strong all the way through. We had a few weeks during the beginning of the season that was a bit rough while I was building the team.
Yep.
But, we ended up, 14 game consecutive run, 14 game wins in a row. Ended up being the hottest AHL team from weeks 4 to 9. And, came into the playoffs, somewhat hot, I guess you could say. And, it carried on from there, won that first series, in 5 games, and then 7 in the next 2, and then won that last one in 5. So it's been just a strong, consistent team all the way through. And I should mention we won the last 7 of the 8 games that we played in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, I guess
right?
that's
so.
true.
I mean, to speak to the strength of the team.
Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting when I look at the playoff tree, how that kind of went too, because, you played against a lot of really good teams.
We did.
But it almost seemed like you stumbled a little bit earlier, but when you got to the finals, it was almost like we're so comfortable and ready to go. The confidence was just oozing out of the team that it wasn't really who you were playing at that point. It was just go get it done.
Pretty much, yes, absolutely. So confident in the team. Everybody's confident on the team. I had tremendous confidence in the team. Forward lines, defense, goaltending, right across the board. Tremendous confidence in the team. Confidence, in each other. I mean, big proponent to, player responsibility, not only to themselves, but to the team, performance-wise. And, everyone just really bought into everything. And it just really worked well. And, the results are there. I mean, we came out, we wanted to win. We were hungry for the Calder Cup. I mean, let's be frank. We wanted that, and we were going to go out and get it, and we did just that.
For sure. Well, you guys, I mean, it's funny to see how teams change, and looking at your games from the finals there, you gave up 3 goals in game 1. But you won that game. Gave up 4 goals in game 2 and lost. And then you only gave up 2, 2, and 1 to end the series. So, I mean, it's almost like you lost game 2 and it was a wake up call. It was like, all right, guys, tighten it down. And
Absolutely.
I mean, the team that's able to do that the best, as we just saw with Chicago, they lose game 6 in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then go out in game 7 and just literally shut it down and dominate in all 3 phases of the game. So, what's it feel like to go on a run like that and see your team develop from week 1 to week 5 to the trade deadline, and then 4 rounds in the playoffs where, the guys are probably starting to build more camaraderie, like you said, and just enjoy playing together more. What's that like?
Well, it's great. I mean, I highly recommend, going out and winning a Stanley Cup or going out and winning a Calder Cup. Highly recommended. It's a great thing. Fantastic. I mean, it was, like I said earlier, what a journey. We never, even at the beginning of the season when we were having a rough patch, I mean, everybody could see that the moves that I was making were adding to the team. Nothing that was being done was subtracting, more or less. So we kept moving on a forward pace, making proactive forward movements, improving. People don't know this, but the second week of the season, we were 6-3. So, there was a glimpse. I kind of knew we were in the right direction at that point. So, everyone was buying into it at that point. So 3, a little bit of a stumble. I made some more moves every week, more moves, assessing, making the right changes. And then, then it was just, the spark went off at the end of week 3. Going into week 4, we went on a 14-game win streak. And as far as I know, that was the most wins in a row in season 3 anyway. I don't know about the history of the AHL, but that was, quite the run for us. So, incredible run, incredible camaraderie, just the vibe in the entire, quote unquote dressing room on the team was just fantastic. I mean, I can't say enough positive things about how the season went. And, even, of course we didn't win every game, you still have your ups and downs, but, just the amount of confidence we all had in each other, as teammates and in our own ability, and to some extent, their confidence, in their management, and my confidence in the players, it was like almost like a nuclear explosion. It just, you know what I mean? It was just incredible to see, and it was an incredibly fun ride to be a part of. I just can't say enough positive things about it. I mean, I was asked to pick an MVP, just to interject here a little bit, an MVP after we won the Calder Cup. And, what I said was that everybody on the team is the MVP. I was on the T-Sib show there, and I didn't name an MVP at that time. I ended up naming it, and the MVP ended up going to Doubleborough. However, I left that decision up to the team. As a matter of fact, I left it to a team vote, even though it was a GM. I could have made the decision on my own. I said, let's do this that way. I left it to the team. They all voted, and I think they made the right decision. I double checked a few things, and I think that was the right choice. But everything is just everybody on the team did their part. They played their part. They came to play every day. Everybody to me is an MVP on the team, and it has to be that way. In my opinion, it has to be that way. I mean, congratulations to Chicago for winning it. I'm sure they can, the ownership and the management over there can relate to what I'm saying here. It just has to be that way. Everybody has to be dialed in. And fortunately, that's the way it went for us. And, truly, I'm sure owner and management feel the same way about their team. Everyone's the MVP. Everyone's equally important here.
Right, for sure. Well, congratulations on winning the Calder Cup. It's an outstanding achievement, and you guys worked very hard for it.
Appreciate it.
And thanks again for coming on the show. I know it's you've been getting a lot of media requests this week, huh?
Yeah, actually, it has been, but I don't mind it. It's awesome. It gives me a chance to talk about the team a little bit and meet with you guys. You guys do a fantastic job with the show. Hats off to you.
Thanks, dude.
I mean, I tune into both, even though I'm not technically in the NHL yet. But yeah, I tune into your show, the T-Sib show. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much for doing what you do for the community. It really adds, to me, it's just as important as streaming the games. It just adds that element. And yeah, cool. Thank you very much for doing that, guys.
I appreciate that.
That segues me into one last question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Plans for next season?
My plans for next season.
After you go to Disney World, of course.
After
yeah, exactly. I'm contemplating a couple things. I've got some options on the table. I haven't really decided exactly what I'm going to do just yet. I'm leaving my options open to some extent. I'll make a decision on that probably in the near future. But now that I've won the Calder Cup, the teams won the Calder Cup, I kind of feel like I've done that. And, that's the focus down there. Now that that's done, I think that the next natural progression would be to go to the NHL and try to get a Stanley Cup.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Thanks again for coming on the show, man. And maybe we'll see you up in the NHL this season. We'll see how it plays out.
Let's hope so. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely.
Take care.
And that was Skilled Python, the GM of the Charlotte Checkers, the recently crowned Calder Cup winning Charlotte Checkers, and he had some interesting things to say, honestly. So good to get him on, Mike. Nice job.
Yep.
And I am working on
very well spoken lad, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I am working on getting our next couple of guests on right now. They should be on hopefully any second. So I will let you guys know.
Exciting.
Got any downtime music since you guys can't talk?
Oh, I was typing a message. Sorry. But no, that's good to see Skilled get a championship down there and see his team get hot at the right time there. It it just goes to show, you got to get hot at the right time. Of course, doesn't really apply to Chicago because they were hot the whole time. So, but that's a great job by them, and it's hats off to them. It's a great job. It's got to be a good feeling to win a cup down there.
Yeah, it certainly is.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Goose would know.
Absolutely. I'm looking. I haven't done the research yet, but I think I'm in the running to be the first ever 2-time Calder Cup champ. Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Could be.
Get ahead of ourselves now.
Counterattack had that opportunity season 2.
God, he took it right to the wire, right?
Right, and just fell short against you guys. But yeah, I'm not sure if anybody has been on 2 separate Calder Cup winning teams. Generally, a lot of if not all of them, but a lot of the Calder Cup champion guys end up in the NHL, so it's hard to repeat.
See, well, I was just so good. I decided to go back and try it again.
Well, yeah, but you're in the management role now.
Yeah, big fancy big wig.
Yep. Your free time is gone, my friend.
Yeah. Yep. See ya.
Your free time is going to be spent doing this.
We're gonna trade? No trade. Okay.
All right. God damn it.
Yeah. No kidding. So we do have hashtag Matty Cups. PTP is with us. Piper should hopefully be joining any minute. What's going on, man? How you doing? Congratulations.
I'm doing good. How are you guys? Thank you.
Oh, not too bad.
I like how you guys are trending that.
Well, thanks Schroyer, because he's the one that I first saw
fucking
post
Schroyer. Yeah, heard it. So.
Well, you played an outstanding rookie season, of course, but the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, on lefty, they worked your side of the ice an awful lot that game, and you were able to come up big multiple times. Were you just in a zone, or what was going on? Because your unit was just playing so well.
Well, their right wing Jeff 0012, I've known him for like a couple of years, so we're both like friends. So I guess their game plan was either trying to work my side or, just, I don't know, get it deep and start moving up the puck around the boards and stuff. But yeah, no, it was a challenge. It was fun playing against him. King Clutch, he made a good team, and he should be really proud of what they accomplished this season. I didn't think they'd make it to the finals and make it past CBJ, that's for sure. So he should be really proud.
Yeah, not a lot of people did see them making it past Columbus, but I mean, they kind of got hot at the they kind of got hot at the right time. But I mean, they ran into the brick wall that was the Chicago Blackhawks this season, and that game. What were your feelings going into that Game 7 after that Game 6 that had just gone down?
Anything can happen. Anything can go in. Any bounce, any shot, anything really. Like their goalie can get hot. He can be a monster. You can save everything. So I don't know. I was confident with our lineup going to Game 7 that we were going to win for sure. I was expecting a bit closer game, not like a 4-1 game. I was expecting like a 2-1, 1-0 type of game, but I was still happy with the outcome.
From the outside looking in, I mean, it just looked like you guys were in control the whole game. I mean, they had the puck in your zone, but you guys had it the whole game. I mean, you were just reading them extremely well. You were keeping everything to the outside. It was great.
We played very well as a team.
Yeah, and Viper stood on his head. He made some standing saves.
Yeah. I don't think we would have got where we are without Viper. Like, he was extremely well during the playoffs, so deserving of the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people look Viper off as, like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, people don't consider him as, like, a top tier goalie or top goalie or whatever, but he was.
What? They should.
They should, Jesus. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's because people get caught in the trap of looking at who surrounds the team.
Who's in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right.
everybody. I mean, Schneider was outstanding, and
Yeah.
the team in front of him wasn't trash.
No.
I mean, it's just you. It's going to go hand in hand. Good goalies with good teams are going to have outstanding numbers, but it doesn't mean it's because their team is good and they're mediocre.
Yeah, no, Viper was
no.
outstanding this year. If people didn't think that about him before, they're definitely going to now.
I think he had 6 shutouts going into the Cup Finals.
I believe he led the league in shutouts.
And going into the Anaheim series, or maybe it was a Florida, he had a 0.88 goals against average. He was a monster.
Yeah, and then you also, I mean, you guys on D obviously played outstanding in Game 7, but Class Act, Piper, and Pindy were the way they were interchanging themselves in the defensive zone. They forced so many turnovers.
It is so easy to play with them, man.
Right, I bet it is. They were setting them up. You could just see them.
Yeah.
You could see them backing off right to the edge of where they knew they could get to the pass. If they passed it, baiting them into passing it, and then boom, they'd swoop right in on it.
Once we went up 1-0, I knew for sure we were going to win because Class and Cody are really good at trapping, and so is Pinder. But they read the defense well. They read the breakout well. They just know where to be, and they're really good at reading stuff and good on defense. So it makes it our life a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know. Piper was disappointed when he went to the box the 2 times because he was in perfect position to make the play and somehow ended up in the box for it.
Cody hates taking penalties. It's hilarious.
Right. Especially in a Game 7, right? When you have a 1-0 lead, you take your first penalty and you're freaking out.
Yeah, through the playoffs. His first penalty in the playoffs came in a Game 7. Sound like Cup 5.
Well, speak of the devil, we can ask him about that as Piper has just joined us. What's going on, Cody? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely. Congrats on winning the Cup. We were just talking to PTP about your Game 7 penalties.
Oh, my God. I was the only one. I hope he didn't lie.
No, it was. I told him.
All right, good. I tried to go the whole playoffs without taking a penalty.
God damn, that's got to be.
Oh, well.
That's got to grind your gears, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Frustrating.
I've never seen anyone get so upset about it.
I know. We were up 4-0 at the time, too. I was like, dang it, that's my first penalty.
Oh, man. That's such a bummer, though. You play the entire playoffs, and then you take it when you're up 4-0. I would have been smashing my controller, probably.
Yeah. Well, I try to, pride myself in not taking penalties. I only had 6 penalty minutes in the regular season, but
nice.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I said that too, and that's
not a true selfie.
I took 56 this month, 56 penalty minutes. So
yeah, well, it's harder as a D-man too, but
right. Well, what did it feel like playing in that Game 7? I know Florida was pretty high on the win in Game 6, feeling confident, and got lucky that the game, the whole cluster, that happened the night before.
That was weird.
So they get Game 7 right after winning Game 6 instead of having to sleep on it for a night. And you guys just went out and shut them down. What was your strategy going into the game?
Well, we knew that their forwards are going to be talented, and we knew that they're probably going to try and control the time of possession, and they kind of did. But it seems like Florida, especially with their Game 7 line, they tend to just work it around the outside. So if you can clog the middle, they're not really going to have a whole lot to do with it. And then we just tried to pretty much play our game on offense. We had a lot of talented players. We've all played together a lot, so
for previous years too. So
yeah,
it makes it that much easier.
We all played together for so long. We pretty much know what to do to win.
Yeah,
we know what aches and
how each other play and stuff.
Yeah,
so you know what to expect.
We pretty much just tried to play our game, and I thought we did a good job. It was important to come out to an early lead too, which we did.
Yeah. So I heard you talking about that before the game, and also that Class Act had left the party before the game and decided not to be at the party. And
he came back, but
he joined when the game was loading. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Sometimes he doesn't Sometimes he doesn't join parties though. Like whenever we played Pro Series, he stayed out of the party sometimes, which isn't like awful because, like I said, we still know how he's going to play. But I mean, we did want him in the party, and he came back. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, he played outstanding too, and had some really good forechecking where forced a couple of pucks right back to you and Pindy. Pindy picked off a couple
Yeah.
of them behind the net because Class Act was up there forcing the D-men to spin it back behind, and that's where I think that's actually how you got your first 2 goals.
Yeah, you're right.
So
The second one for sure.
Yeah, I remember the second one was just a total grind, and then it ended up
That's just
Pindy was open.
The first one I think led to a turnover, but it was a rebound goal. I can't.
Oh,
remember
that's
that.
right.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Scoots puts together this team, and the last couple seasons disappointed with the early exits in the playoffs, but you finally get it done for him. How excited was he in the party after you guys got it done?
He was actually
He
at
was
work, so he wasn't able to be in the party with us. So it's kind of a bummer, but he was obviously excited. He went into the chat box and got banned like right away. So he's kind of he was a little maybe overexcited, but we were glad that we could win it for him because he's taken a lot of heat from everybody, and some of it is deserved.
I think we all wanted to win for him too.
Yeah, we did want to win for him. The nice thing about our team was like we didn't really just want to win for ourselves. Like everybody on our team, we wanted to win it for everybody. Matt Watt, especially. I mean, I wanted to win it for the rest of, these guys that I play with a lot too. So
yeah,
right.
And I'm sure they all feel the
and
same
I think
way.
that's what makes it more like I don't know, special, but like when you play with guys you've known for a while, you want to So that's what makes it more enjoyable too.
Yeah, that seems to be a reoccurring theme. I mean, we just got done talking to Skilled Python, and he basically echoed the exact same thing. Is that they wanted to win it for each other. I mean, it wasn't necessarily about winning it for one person. They were all in it together and pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, I think by the time too you're in like the final round of whatever league, like everybody's kind of bought in and everybody knows like that everybody has their own role and that we're all trying to win for one another. I don't think you can really win with a team that's like selfish.
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, you guys had, I've talked a little bit about PTP here, but you also had another very high draft pick for you in Stivy 66 in the lineup.
yeah.
Let's end this once and for all. Is it Stivy or Stevie, guys?
We call him
Stevie.
Stevie, but
Stevie.
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
think maybe we're wrong.
Yeah, we have no idea. I mean, people called Deji Desji for like a year until I had to tell them it was Deji. So I don't know.
What was it like adding him to the team? Because picking a guy like that up in the draft, and then both your top draft picks end up being your Game 7 defensemen. What's that like?
Yeah, well, it was important because it was down to him or a couple other guys. I know like ZD Ball was an option, and I think Sean the Boss was another guy. Well, there was like a few. Well, he might not have actually been at the number.
No, ZD went third, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have gotten picked right before us. But we were looking at a few different guys, and we wanted to make sure that we made the right decision. And we felt like, Stevie had the most skill with the puck, and I mean, he's been a top player. I think he used to be like top on the leaderboard, so obviously he's good. Not that means a lot, but he does have skill, and he really fit in nicely with us. So we definitely made the right choice.
And again,
if you got a guy up top who's got very few games played,
we remember playing with him back in the day too, like NHL 14. He used a different gamer tag, but we remembered him, and he's been solid.
Yeah, he was really good.
Dude, I've played quite a few games with him at forward with some of his other crew that he plays with there, some of those San Diego Gulls guys.
Yeah, he's a really well-rounded player.
Absolutely.
It was really nice to have him. He was good at moving the puck quick and making good breakouts, and he played good D as well. So it was pretty much all we needed.
Did you think when you were drafting, I'm sure PTP isn't as big a surprise to you because you knew him. But did you think that when you were drafting your first 2 picks in the draft that they were going to be your Game 7 Stanley Cup defensive pairing?
Well, we definitely knew that PTP was going to be on our Game 7 line. I think we wanted Stevie to be too because at that time we didn't really have a right D. Last season, we didn't have nearly as good of a D core that we had this season. We had, not that Deji's a bad player, but he was playing right D on our first line. Or no, we had Inglis last season. But going into this season, we didn't have Inglis, so it was going to be Deji if we didn't pick up another defenseman. And Deji's, I think, a lot more comfortable on left D. So we were looking for that first right D, and we got it. He played for Preston Game 7 and did a really good job. So
yeah, it seemed to be the thing that kind of pushed you guys over the top this year, right? I mean,
definitely
kind of bolstered the back end. I mean, you guys already had an outstanding forward core and a lot of returning guys, and he brought in a couple of key pieces on the back end, and look, there you go, bloop. There's
Well, the thing was in the playoffs, like our first 2 D pair, like PTP, Stevie, Deji, and Darius were all playing fantastic. And, we didn't really even have a first line D pair, I don't think, because everybody was playing so well. I had total confidence in our D pair, and I couldn't really say that, in the playoffs last season. Not that they were awful or anything, but I mean, nowhere near as good as they were this season. So that was definitely really important. And it's always been important in leagues to have good defenders. So they all did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you get a chance to win the Stanley Cup finally, and I mean, it's got to feel incredible. So you're building a team again this season, and I mean, the goal's got to be the same, right? You don't win the Stanley Cup, it's a failure of a season.
Yeah, especially since we have a lot of the same people coming back. So, I mean, there's pretty much no excuse at this point.
Right, now that you know you can do it.
Yeah.
Now you go for the first team to repeat, right?
Right.
We still got to try and improve a little bit. We definitely weren't like the perfect team. We had a couple weaknesses, but hopefully we can improve those, and this season we'll be able to do it again. We'll see.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, PTP, Cody, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Great to talk to you, and congrats again on winning the Stanley Cup. And I'm sure this season we'll be talking a lot about you guys again.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
You too.
And that was Cody Piper. Of course, PTP and Piper, GM of Chicago Blackhawks, and their second overall pick in the Season 3 draft, Stanley Cup champions there. Outstanding listening to those guys talk. I mean, I was listening. I was watching their stream for the game, and, I mean, you said Florida was quiet. Chicago wasn't quiet at all, but they weren't joking around. They were very focused on the game, but they're able to direct their attention to exactly what they need to do and get it done, and that's exactly what you saw.
For sure. I mean, they came out in that game 7, and it was just
they deserved to win it.
Yeah, like they said. I mean, they knew that Florida liked to keep the puck on the perimeter, and they used that against them. They kept them on the perimeter, and they did not give them an inch towards the house, or so it's called, which is the high scoring opportunity areas, which is right in the little the slot area. You put a square in front of the net that goes about dot to dot, and just outside the hash marks, and that's the house, and they kept them out of there. And anytime, I think they had them so flustered that, Florida would get into the house, and they'd have a good look at the goalie, and they wouldn't shoot it. They were like, oh shit, I got to do something with it, instead of just shooting it. They had them completely on their heels, man. And they really just outplayed the hell out of them in that.
And not even to mention too, just not saying Florida didn't have a chance, but you look at that lineup that Chicago put out, they were firing on all cylinders, getting ready. They probably played 700 warm-up games, all pumped up, ready to go, because I mean, that team, that might be the best lineup you could possibly put together on any LG team in the league this year. And they really came to play, and that, that's a performance you expect, and it's nice to see that's the performance they got.
Yeah, for sure. All the way around too, it was Viper, gives up the late goal, which was it wasn't his fault, but they gave up the late goal there. He almost had a shutout, but it was almost like all 6 players had the best possible game they could have asked for in a game 7, and got it done. It was, like I said, a ton of fun to watch, and I thank those guys a lot for coming on. We were trying to get them on the show last week, but I think it worked out better that we had to wait till this week to get them on. So thanks for PTP and Cody for making it on the show this week.
Absolutely.
Well, you want to get into since we're, I don't know, I guess season 3's dead.
It's gone.
It's over.
It's over. Believe it or not, it's freaking over. You ready?
Yeah.
There goes 12 weeks.
Right. Yeah. That was almost as fast as 3
14.
nights.
Might even
was
been
almost
14 weeks. Yeah, it was because of what? No, it's 15 weeks. Is that right? 9-week season, 1 week off. That's 10.
4 weeks of the playoffs.
15.
And then
Yeah.
the week before was the draft. I mean, the draft was the Thursday after
About
my
17
wedding.
to 18 weeks worth of work right there.
It was like the 28th or 29th of September. So, I mean, that's that's crazy when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the draft show the Thursday after I got married, which was September 24th. So
1/3 of a year.
crazy. Yeah, it went by about as fast as a fish weekend.
Yeah.
Not quite, but almost. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up this draft board real quick. We had the draft lottery last night that Tris was so kind to post the video of. And, well, Buffalo Sabres. Congratulations, Ryan. He did some things with the team last season, tried to get some of his, after they were out of the playoff race, tried to get some of his guys to playoff teams and stuck around to be with the Sabres again this season, and they win the draft lottery and get the first pick. Toronto made a move to get another pick. They have the second and third picks. That's kind of interesting. And I mean, do you want to go through the whole list, draft order, or?
Oh, no, that's way too much. Just, out of the top 10, I mean, you have, I think, maybe this will be the season that Toronto gets on their horse here. They've got picks 2 and 3, and, having 2 out of the first 3 picks is outstanding. I mean, they're going to get 2 extremely good players. Now, this is, of course, not official. These picks could have been moved today for who know, for all we know. But as of this draft board right now, Toronto's got picks 2 and 3, which is outstanding. But
right, and then
go ahead and
then you
round
got
out the top 10 here.
Yeah, then you got Detroit in 4th, Washington 5th, Nashville in 6th, New York Rangers down in 7th. San Jose, who have multiple first-round picks, their first one's at 8. And your Eastern Conference finalist, Blue Jackets, sitting there at 9th. And then you got the Carolina Hurricanes rounding it out at 10th. So that's your top 10 in the draft. And interesting list when I look at it there, because there's a couple teams like Toronto, I feel like really, I mean, they didn't finish very well at all last season, but as far as talent on the roster, they weren't that far away. Maybe just finding chemistry and things like that. You had a couple of top guys, second and third pick overall in the draft, if that is in fact what they end up doing and keeping those picks. You're right. Toronto's one of those teams that probably isn't that far away. San Jose, I know they just re-signed Daniel Epps this morning. They've got 4 picks in the first round. They could really change their roster and their season
15
outlook.
picks overall. I mean, if anything, their AHL team should be pretty damn good. I mean, and I'm not saying that jokingly. I mean, they have 15 picks in the draft. You can't necessarily go and put 15 prospects that are drafted on your NHL team. I mean, you could. I
don't think they have room for that.
But that's just a great job by McHale. He's got 15 guys, and that's if he keeps all these picks. He's got 15 guys coming into his organization, not only for 1 season, but for 2 seasons. Yep. And that's going to set them up great down the road to have depth on their team coming from the AHL. They're going to have guys coming up. They're going to have guys that they can move up and down, so they're going to have an extremely flexible, great roster this season. And that's a hell of a job by them last year, realizing that, maybe it is time to tear this thing down and rebuild it, and just, moving off pieces here, pieces there, and just kind of just gaining draft picks, picking up draft picks. They were doing it all season long. So that's a really good job on San Jose's part for picking up so many draft picks. We'll see how they use them.
Yeah, I mean, and they can go any number of ways. They obviously their AHL team is gonna get a few of those guys because it's just I mean, with the guys that San Jose does have on their roster, they do have some players, and so there won't be, GM, owner, and then 15 new guys. So the AHL team's going to get some draft picks here. They may trade some of those for a couple of good players. San Jose could be a team that turns it around extremely quickly because they have a lot of assets for season 4, and this is a huge week for them. These next 5 days or so are going to be very telling for how much San Jose improves their team, and I'm very interested in that situation to see how that plays out. But I mean, they've got a lot of picks. I know Detroit's got
Put your scouting shoes on.
I think Detroit has 11 or 12 picks or something. So Detroit could be a team that turns around really quick too. We'll see what Forthy does over there. I know he's got a good idea of what he probably wants to do. I know he's already made a deal or two to grab a couple guys as well. So don't expect this. I mean, Calgary too has made some really good deals to get some guys and start improving their team. Not to mention Frost taking GM spot there. That's going to help tremendously. But the teams that were last in the league last season, don't expect them to be down there this season necessarily, because a lot of them did a very good job of putting themselves in a good position to start this season, getting a lot of new talent onto their organizations.
Without a doubt. It's going to be very fun to watch. And of course, for those of you that don't know or are questioning it or wondering, we are going to be doing our live draft coverage. I believe we're probably going to get T-Sibs from the AHL to sit in with us that night as well. Because he has a very, very good knowledge of some of the guys that should be coming out in the draft. So it'll be good to get his insight on that as well. And, just kind of roll through it like we did last season, and we'll see what happens with those picks and what teams are able to do, if there's any more movement here coming down the stretch. But the draft night is going to be interesting, and believe it or not, this Thursday is the draft. So, coming up on season 4 with a quickness, not much downtime in between season 3 and season 4. And, get ready. Here we go again. I need some sleep.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm sick. I won't be here Thursday. But I mean, I'm just looking at transactions and all the things that are going on right now on the board, and I mean, I see that looks like BJ got re-signed again. There's been a lot of re-signing for guys. Of course, BJ now Odessa Steps. It's hard to. Why does everybody have to switch names? It's hard enough to learn the ones that we've got.
No.
But there's also been some big retirings. I mean,
Quite a few, actually.
Neutrality 11 retired today, I believe. Knees retired. Sloshy was joking about retiring, though. You never really know with him. he pretty much does what he wants, which can't blame the guy. He's earned that right.
Voltep retired twice.
Yeah. Oh, did he retire again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tough decision. I mean, it is a long season. It's a long grind, but you are only playing 3 games a week. So,
yeah, I think some of these guys were accidents, like possibly Jet Up and Benz, because they added themselves to their AHL rosters, I believe, and they had to get removed. So it was, it's just a part of the process. They have to take them off and put them back on. So some of these guys may not actually be removed from the league.
Right. But I mean,
there's a lot of people. But
there's also been a lot of trades. It looks like the Sharks did trade a 2nd-round pick to the Canucks. There's a lot of picks moving around. Detroit traded a 2nd-round pick for Sudsy to the Wild. Then traded, or no, okay, yeah, I guess then they re-signed him. I was going to say then they traded him back. But picks are moving. I see a lot of 2nd-round picks have been moved. A lot of movement. There's only been, 24 hours or something?
Not even. It started out at about 8 a.m. this morning. Or wait, no. That
Yesterday.
was Friday morning. Yeah, so it's just been about 40 hours, 36 hours maybe.
People don't waste time. And then,
No.
there's been trades reversed. There's been other deals that have had. I mean, this list is already full, and you have to go back a couple pages to even get back to season 3 at the trade deadline. So there's probably going to be a lot of stuff. There's definitely going to be an updated draft list by Thursday when we do the actual draft, because it's not going to look exactly the same. I don't know if I can keep up with all this stuff.
Fast and furious.
Yeah. Plus trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. Goose, I guess, are you going to do the draft show Thursday, or is this going to be your final one?
I mean, I'm not too sure. I should be around as far as I know.
Okay. I mean, it's up to you. We're not kicking you out, but I know going to the AHL that you're probably not going to be back on the show, at least not full time next season, because you're going to be busy running your team. So
absolutely. So I wouldn't mind coming on, but we'll see what happens. I know Broski and I over the next week, especially, we're going to run as many tryout games as we can to get our best foot forward with scouting for the upcoming bidding session. So we'll see. I wouldn't mind coming on. I'll be around.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you about that then. So, we've got. I'm gonna say right now that chances are we're gonna do the show Thursday and not do a show next Saturday, just so everybody knows. Not really gonna be a point to doing a show 2 days after the draft,
right?
Because that's gonna be like a 2.5 hour show by itself.
Yeah, our next show after that will be the weekend the season starts, which is the following Saturday, because bidding will end up Wednesday or Thursday, and
9 days after the draft is.
That's when we'll preview the season and get her going again.
Yeah, well, again, congratulations to the Calder Cup champion, Charlotte Checkers and Skilled Python, who came on to talk to us. Thank you very much. Cody Piper and PTP coming on, Matty Cups, hashtag Matty Cups. Get that trending.
I also want to throw a congrats out to Agar and Cresser down in the CHL for putting together one hell of a team down there in the Kingston Fontenetics, I believe is how you pronounce it. But the Fontenex, they ripped through it, had an outstanding season.
Yeah,
everybody on their team was bright red. Not a guy that had a bad season on that team. So they went through and really worked it well. And to their credit, the Rangers took them to a Game 7 in the finals. They gave them every last bit they could down there in the CHL, but Kingston did come out on top. So tip of the hat to them for the Mem Cup as well.
And I could be mistaken, but I believe Agar is now the GM of the Charlotte Checkers.
That is not finalized yet because he is a prospect, and as well as Cresser, so they would have to be drafted.
Right.
That was only the projected list I was reading off.
It is there. I noticed it.
Yep. Well, congratulations to them. And then, of course, Scoots finally getting it done with the Chicago Blackhawks, winning the Stanley Cup in outstanding fashion, especially in Game 7 specifically. But congratulations to Viper winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. And we will see you guys Thursday for the draft this week. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks again to all our guests that came on the show this week.
Go Pats.
Fuck the Pats.
All right, everybody. We will see you Thursday for the draft show. We will leave you with the Chicago Blackhawks. The whole thing.